It's kind of just annoying me now. Like, I kind of just want it to crack and break so that I can get out of the freezing cold weather here and just go home. So hey, what's going on, everybody? With the exception of the Pixel 4a, most of the time we're talking about flagship stuff here, whether it's high-end computers or the latest high-end smartphones. And while we still have plenty more of those videos to come, but I honestly thought it was time to kind of go back to my roots and talk about some more budget-friendly, unknown name brands to see what all the fuss is about in the underworld of phones. This is coming across way more sketchy than I intended to. Today we're talking about this thick boy. This is the Blackview BL6000 Pro 5G. What is with phone companies coming out with like sentence-long phone names? Also, this thing claims to be pretty tough. Great battery life, camera, screen, whole shebang, all in a $400 package. Let's see if it actually lives up to it. Disclaimer. All right, so I always try to point out if a company sends me stuff for free or pays me or anything like that. So Blackview did send this phone out to me for free to test out and make a video on, but I'm not being paid at all, as well as they're not seeing this video before it goes live. So for the things that I think it's great at, I'm gonna tell you. And for the things that it sucks at, I'm also gonna tell you. If you're interested in learning more about the phone or backing them on Indiegogo for this phone, the links will be in the description. But again, no pressure, just enjoy the video and leave a comment down below what you think about it at the end. All right, first up, let's talk about the design. And again, as I said in the beginning, this thing is thick. To be honest, when you compare it against like the iPhone 12 Pro Max, yeah, it definitely still looks thicker. It doesn't feel that much thicker than the iPhone in the hand, to be completely honest, but don't get me wrong, this does not feel like a little phone. If you have the iPhone mini right now, this thing, it's gonna feel huge. But as with most people have been asking with phones like iPhones to put a bigger battery in there, this definitely solves that problem with over a 5200 milliamp battery in there. It does have, of course, USB Type-C and wireless charging. The back is made of this completely rubber material that feels great in the hands. It's very grippy. The kind of target market for this phone is people who like more tough phones. Maybe you work in construction or you're always dropping your phone and you don't like big cases or anything. Now, what is interesting is a lot of their other phones that they make, the rubber kind of extends all the way around the edge, which seems to be what really gets the durability test going, where I've seen videos of their phones just being tossed off buildings and all the way down staircases and just some crazy stuff, which we will be doing in a couple minutes. And honestly, I'm pretty nervous because this is a beautiful, I'm guessing aluminum. They don't actually say the materials that are used on the website. It is all metal around the edge and it feels really premium. And again, for a thick phone, I think they definitely went more of the kind of designer, let's make something that looks pretty decent while also being functional. So in terms of one of those thick, tough book type phones, honestly, I give this an A for design. It's got really good buttons on the sides. You have the power button / fingerprint reader. It does have face detection to unlock. And then, like the OnePlus phones that I love, is you have kind of a function button on the left hand side by itself, the little orange guy. This you can program to do a bunch of different things: single click, double click, triple click. You can make it do all different things, open up different apps. Basically, it's a shortcut button. You have 3 cameras on the back, and we're going to get more in depth into this in a minute. But they advertise the Sony 48 megapixel triple camera system, whatever. But there's something kind of interesting about it that I don't really understand. The display is a 6.36 inch full HD plus, basically with a resolution of 2300 by 1080. I think that also contributes pretty well to the better battery life by not being like a 4K display or anything. It's got 8 gigs of RAM and comes with 256 gigs of storage. So again, for a budget $400 phone, 256 is not a bad deal. The other nice thing is they pretty much have it relatively stock Android. It currently has Android 10 on it. They have a couple extra features. All right, so obviously on this channel, we talk a lot about the photo and video capability of these devices. And in my testing, what I found is this is one of those devices that you really want to take advantage of third-party apps. The built-in camera apps, both for stills and video, is okay. But honestly, the biggest thing that bugs me is the autofocus is quite jittery and not very smooth at all. So it was searching for focus constantly. Also, you'll notice that it has a very weird watermark on mine where it says Airworks. I reached out to them and they basically let me know that this was just on my unit again as a test unit, and that wouldn't be in the actual final shipped product. We have 3 lenses on the back here. So as one would assume, you have ultra wide, a regular wide angle, and a telephoto lens. But for example, we are on the wide lens right now, and if I put my finger, we can see that the lens is now covered by it. I'm on the bottom lens. If I then go to this guy here and put my finger on the next lens up, you can see it's not being covered. So it's obviously not this one. If I cover the top one, then you can see it is now being covered. And if I go to the telephoto, you would think the middle one would be the last one, but nope, it's not being covered. It's the top one again. In some phones, the cameras will judge the lighting, and in low light, it may go, oh, this sensor is better, so I'm actually just gonna digitally crop in. But then again, if you go to these third-party apps that allow you to completely manually take control, if I go into the MC24 app here, you can see that we have 3 options here, but one of them is the 16 megapixel front-facing camera. What is this middle one? I don't know if this is just like for grabbing extra detail when it can. If you guys know, let me down in the comments below because I have never seen that before. All right, now, as I mentioned, this is a 5G phone. Now, unfortunately, where I live, 5G, or at least full 5G, is not available, so I can't really do a bunch of testing on that. The best I can do to show you right now is I do have gigabit internet Wi-Fi, and so let's see how much of that this can take up, because of course, every device has kind of a max, especially for Wi-Fi. 281 down. Not too shabby for a phone, to be honest. And 365 up. All right, so now for the fun part, which is talking about durability. Now for drops, I always love when companies like to name drop military standard, military grade standard, whatever. So this is military standard 810G, which apparently is a fancy term for drop proof up to 1.5 meters. So I'm curious to see if it's gonna last a couple drops. If it does survive, let's take it a step further and go a bit higher. Oh no, I am walking with my phone. Whoops. All right, well, that wasn't a problem. It seems that that puddle was bigger, and so it kind of broke the fall part. Obviously a good test for waterproofness, but wasn't too hard on the actual like impact of it. So let's try on something a little less puddly. Just basically scraped off of the whatever paint on the top here, but in terms of the screen and everything, looks like we're still totally good. Let's add some rocks. Is that gonna be something? Nope. All right, let's add some height. That was high, that was probably like a 12-foot drop. And no cracks. And it's kind of just annoying me now. Like I kind of just want it to crack and break so that I can get out of the freezing cold weather here and just go home. So now, just started to get that corner a little bit. Nothing but a couple scuffs and dings. The new one for me is it's actually IP69K proof, which basically means that it can withstand high water pressure from a close range. So why don't we just take a high pressure car wash hose to it? And we want a high pressure rinse. That gross spider corner. Definitely got some scratching. You can't see anything. There's nothing deep enough to where when you're actually using the phone, it's totally fine. Not terrible. This is Corning Gorilla Glass 3, I believe is what they're using. Did you ever get angry at like a text or something and you just want to like... There it is. Finally did it. Finally got the screen to shatter. All right, well that took long enough. Is it tough? Definitely. Indestructible? No. But I think we all know that we've seen plenty of phones crack and shatter on the first little drop, and this thing took what, that was at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen drops before it finally spider webbed. Took like 12-foot throws and everything, so kudos. And finally, we have something they're calling ice mode, where this can withstand negative 30 degrees Celsius or around negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't exactly have a scientific testing for negative 20. However, I will spray it with some water, throw it in the freezer for a couple hours while playing a couple hour video and see if it survives that. Alrighty, so the phone has been in there for a couple hours in the freezer with the water on it. And after about an hour, I actually checked on it and I could see through kind of the water splotches make out it's saying like the temperature of the battery has reached minus 0 degrees Celsius. Yay, I didn't even think we would get that low. Oh, buddy. And before I forget too, I want to mention that even though I set this all up when I did the pre-recorded A-roll, I haven't actually filmed the drop stuff, which you just saw. So if it breaks or shatters there, the phone is in perfect physical health-wise here. All right, well, the phone is very cold as you might expect. It's a nice layer of frost on everything. So hopefully you could see all those little ice specks on there. Let's see if I can pick these off and still interact with the screen. It's very cold. I can interact with the screen. Let's see. Yeah, I can swipe up and he's pretty much fully responsive. There we go, now it's starting to warm up. Yeah, I think this totally passes the ice mode test. Alrighty, so all in all, pretty proud of this phone. Even though it looks not so happy right now, I've never ever actually broken a phone before like this, and so that hurts. But so ultimately, who's buying this budget-ish durable phone? So I can tell you that if your main priority is the camera, you're probably not buying this phone. Again, the camera's okay for both photo and video, but it looks like kind of on the cheaper Android side of things in terms of how it looks, but it takes just fine enough to where if your main priority is durability, things, I know a lot of people literally buy phones for the feel and how it won't slip out of their hands, because all flagship phones nowadays are like beautiful looking glass and metals, but they're some of the most slippery phones ever to exist. And so this having a totally rubber back feels great in the hand. and people who like battery life. I mean, a 50 to 180 milliamp battery is crazy. If you're into that stuff, the link's in the description below if you want to back the Indiegogo campaign. But no matter what, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked all of the destruction, smash that like button and maybe it'll be worth doing to some other phones. Let me know what you guys think about it down below in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video with a less damaged device.